it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is going to be the start of my next weekly classes reading vlog thingy. I figured for these coming videos what I'll do is also just talk to you about the general stuff that I'm reading, because the content for the classes is interesting, but I'm also reading a lot of other things, so I figure I might as well just start talking about them here as well. Today is Monday the 16th. I have had a very busy day so far. I spent basically every break that I had so far today getting things organized and cleaned up and like resetting the house for the week. And I filmed my TBR cart refresh video. I finished up the reading vlog and weekly vlog from last week and edited and got that scheduled for Friday. I posted the reading vlog, or I posted the TBR cart video today. I finished some lectures for my courses and I've just been getting a lot of stuff done. Today is Monday the 16th. I am taking 2 online courses through the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. I am taking Black Women's History and I am taking Historiography. For Historiography, I am up to week 4 in the content. That means I need to read chapters 3 through 6 in Historiography, an Introductory Guide by Eileen K. May Cheng. I read the introduction and the first 2 chapters for last week, and now for this week, I need to read the next 3 chapters and then do the lecture and the quiz. For Black Women's History, I need to read a different book, and for that one, I need to read Never Caught. This is the Washington's Relentless Pursuit of Their Runaway Slave, Ona Judge by Erica Armstrong Dunbar. I am flying through this one so far. I am up to chapter 3, which is page 30. I just sat here and read like 30 pages in 20 minutes. It's a very, very quick read. I've been underlining stuff as I'm reading, which is typically what I've been doing. This book is about Ona Judge, who is one of the women that the Washingtons enslaved, and it is the story of her life. And the author's note at the very beginning says that the author Erica Armstrong Dunbar was doing research into 19th century Black women in Philadelphia and came across an advertisement about a runaway slave in the Philadelphia Gazette, and then started digging into Ona Judge's life and realized that towards the end of her life, so she was enslaved by the Washingtons, moved from Mount Vernon up to New York, where it originally was the United States capital, then moved to Philadelphia, which became the United States capital, lived her life for a couple years in Philadelphia with the Washingtons, and then ran away, and they never caught her. She ended up living as a free Black woman, I think, for the rest of her life. But towards the very end of her life, about 50 years after she had run away, she decided to tell her story. And so we have surviving interviews with her telling her story to abolitionist journalists. And this book is based off of the interviews and the historical documents that we have about the Washingtons and their relationship with the people that they enslaved, and it's so interesting so far. I'm having a really great time with it. So these are the 2 books that I have to read this week for my online classes. I also this week really want to start my next James Baldwin, which will be a reread for me of Giovanni's Room. Very excited for that. I am reading the 6th book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series on my Kindle. We have a physical copy of all of the books so far, plus Matt Dinniman's newest book, Project Bounce House? Operation Bounce House, that's what it is. And I decided to go back to reading the 6th book, and that one is The Eye of the Bedlam Bride. I'm pretty sure it's the 6th one, because then the 7th one, then the 8th one comes out later this year. Yeah, it's the 6th one. I think it's the biggest one so far, but I am over 40% of the way through it, so I'm reading that one on my Kindle. And then I have a stack of other books that I really want to read. I'm reading a huge nonfiction for a different reading vlog. I actually need to film an update clip for that reading vlog. I should write on my whiteboard the reading vlogs that I'm currently working on, the videos I'm currently working on, so I don't lose track. And then yeah, I'm reading a bunch of other books, but I need to go get more water, and then I have therapy in like 10 minutes, and my husband will be home in 3 minutes, so I need to do other things. But I will come back and update you guys as I am getting more reading done. It is Tuesday morning. I am super duper tired, but I so far have my coffee. I decided to switch this week back to iced coffee, so of course I have my adorable Snoopy iced coffee cup that I got from like Home Goods or something a couple years ago. This morning I started reading more of Never Caught, so now I am, I'd say, almost a third of the way through it. I am up to chapter 5, which is page 60, and I am still really enjoying this one. I don't think I've ever actually read like a nonfiction about any of the presidents at all, like a formal book about any of them, and I am having a good time with it. Learning about George Washington and how like prone to illness he was. He was sick a lot. Definitely didn't know that. I knew his teeth were kind of fucky. Like, I think that's something we all learn about George Washington, was that his teeth were fucky, although growing up we're definitely taught that his teeth were made from, I think it was like cow teeth, or his dentures were like cow teeth or something, but I don't know that that's the case entirely. I've also read that his teeth were from enslaved people, that they forced to remove their teeth. I haven't looked into it because that's so terrifying, but I am reading this one. This book is really short. I was just looking in the back, and the actual content of the book is only 202 pages. So at being at page 60, I'm like very close to the end, but then there's interviews with Ona at the end, and it's the actual, there's like photos of the newspaper articles that they typed up after they interviewed her. Yeah, having a good time with this one. I haven't read any more in historiography yet. I've just been reading Never Caught, and then reading another book I decided to start. So I'm about, I think, 45% of the way, either 45 or 48% of the way through Carl 6, and decided to put that down again and pick up something else that my library had a copy of on Libby. So I'm reading that, and I need to update my reading vlog where I'm reading that book along with some other books. Today I have a webinar training thing from 9:30 to 12, and then another meeting at 1, and then I get my hair cut later this evening, which I'm very excited about because I am notorious for waiting until I'm miserable with my hair to finally get it cut. And primarily it's just like these side and back that I get shaved needs to be shaved again. I hate having long hair. The fact that it covers my ears is driving me kind of crazy. I absolutely hate it. So excited to finally get my hair cut. I scheduled it like 2 weeks ago. It's just really hard to get appointments for anything that are after work hours, because if places aren't open those hours, that sucks. But also the places that are open, everyone books their stuff really fast because everyone needs those hours. I also want to do some research today on Giovanni's Room and what prompted James Baldwin to write it. It's set in the 50s in Paris, and James Baldwin lived in Paris for a lot of his life, and I would imagine that that's kind of part of what inspired him to write it. But before I read Go Tell It on the Mountain, I read a decent amount about his upbringing and what got him to start writing Go Tell It on the Mountain. And it was very semi-autobiographical based on his life, especially his relationship with his stepdad. And he writes a lot about that. Notes of a Native Son, the actual essay, is about his stepfather. And that was really fascinating. So I want to read more about his life. I have a pile of books over on my chair that I kept out of my TBR cart when I just posted that video yesterday, and one of them is the biography of James Baldwin that I have. I have some other books that I want to get started on. Basically just have a lot of reading that I want to do. Today is going to be kind of busy with work. Tomorrow will be busy with work. I have a meeting in the morning and then a training in the afternoon for a couple hours. Thursday is kind of wide open. Friday is kind of wide open. And then a couple trainings. Next week is going to be really busy. I have a training on Tuesday from 9:30 to 12. And then, no, that's today. I have a training on Tuesday from 9:30 to 12. Wednesday from 9:30 to 5:30, and Thursday from 9:30 to 3, and then some meetings on Friday. A lot going on, but also trying to just get some work stuff or some school stuff done and continue on with those classes. I probably won't really do anything else today except for those couple things. We might go to the gym after work today. I'm not sure. It depends on how my husband feels, depends on how I feel. I feel like I slept okay, but I woke up really, really like tense and sore. I have issues with sleep. I have nightmares a lot, and sometimes that means that I wake up with very, very tight, sore muscles because I sleep so tense. So going to the gym does help, but I don't know, I'm also just kind of sleepy, so we shall see. But I have about 10 minutes until this training. I have an email that just came through I need to respond to, and then just kind of have to mentally prepare to have to talk to other people, but that's okay. I'll just get some work done now. Okay, it is Friday afternoon. I'm all red because I just got back from a run, but I wanted to wrap up this vlog with some updates. So I have decided that for the foreseeable future, I am taking a break from those two classes. And I know I literally just started them, but I did the first couple weeks of course content where I just read the books and the articles, watched the clips, the video clips, did all the lectures, did all the quizzes, all of that. Now I've hit the point where the content for one of them I am not interested in right now, and the content for the other one is just not holding my interest. So here's what's happening. First, let's talk about, I finished Never Caught, and I absolutely loved this book. I thought it was excellent. I made a whole bunch of tabs. I learned so much about shit-ass George Washington and his shit-ass wife, and how they treated the people that they had enslaved, and how absolutely just delusional George Washington was. Because once she ran away and was living her own life and had moved up north and had gotten married and had a kid and all that, and George Washington became really vindictive and kept sending people, like hiring people to go find her and kidnap her and bring her back to continue to be his slave. Well, actually, technically, Martha Washington's personal servant slave. And he literally created a story that some man showed up and wooed her and convinced her to leave because he couldn't fathom the idea that a black woman would want independence and would make decisions on her own. And then he also fell into that, well, like, I'm such a great master, why wouldn't she want to live with me? Are you insane? No, like, Ona literally says in her interviews later on in life that she would rather like die than go back to slavery. After she left and she was able to live her own life, she did struggle really hard and had a lot of really bad moments. Both of her kids a couple of her kids ended up dying before her. She lived in poverty. She had a really, really hard life, but she literally still said, like, absolutely fucking not. I will not ever go back. And George Washington just couldn't believe that anyone, like, why wouldn't they want to be his slave? Because he was such a great person. And fuck off. He also is the one that signed into order the Fugitive Slave Act, which I knew of the act, but I didn't know which president signed it. He did. He's a dick. So Ona ran away, and it's an incredibly important story to read. I think everyone should read this one. It's only 200 pages, and then there's just a whole bunch of content in the back that's like acknowledgments and bibliography and all of that, and the interviews with Ona. I think it was absolutely incredible. It gives such a good picture of what the lives were like of the founding fathers that isn't 100% focused on how great they were. And the lecture that came along with this showed a lot of paintings of George Washington and his family, and how in the background there's always his like loyal servants, his slaves. He had certain slaves that he was very close to, and his slaves were always very well dressed, and that was like a big part of it for George Washington, was that like he had to show how great he was by making sure that people saw that he put really nice clothes on his slaves. Fucking weird. But I really, really enjoyed this one. Highly, highly recommend it. That was the end of, I think, week 3 for Black Women's History. And the next couple weeks are all moving into women's history, Black women's history in terms of medical history and forced medical procedures and medical torture for the advancement of certain medical fields, specifically gynecology. And I am 100% not in a place where I can absorb any of that content and be okay. And especially if you've watched my other videos, I've talked about how we're in the process of checking me for PCOS, and I'm about to have a very invasive procedure done in the next, not this weekend, but literally next weekend, to check for PCOS. And so I already have a lot of medical anxiety, having been someone that's had chronic illness my whole life and has had very invasive procedures done to check for abnormalities or whatever could be causing it. So no, I don't want that in my brain. I absolutely do not have the capacity to take on any of that content right now and be okay. I am going to take a break from the Black Women's History course. I think the content will be very, very important, and maybe over the summer or fall, once I'm far enough removed from my own shit, I will come back to it. But as of right now, I'm just gonna have to put it on pause. I'm not doing like a formal program. These are self-paced courses I was just doing for fun. So there's no like timeline or anything that I have to follow. But so that's why that course is going to be paused for now. And the other course that I'm taking is historiography, and it is super duper interesting. I'm having a really great time with it. I finished week 4 today. I watched the lecture and I took the quiz, and we're really talking about American historiography. So once the like colonial era Puritans came over to the United States, or like starting the United States, and determining how they wanted to write history, and they have this very like providential puritanical view that everything is divinely ordered, and if there's anything that happens, it's because God willed it, and like that's how they viewed history. So the historiography book and the course was talking through the changing ways that people viewed history over time. So they looked at the Enlightenment era, they looked at the Romantic era, and I thought the Romantic era was really fascinating because at that point in time, historians started to view history as stories to be told, not just facts. And so in order to get the facts of what happened across, they would write very, very like flowery and invent shit. And I just, that absolutely fits in my head with how romantic authors were for that time period of like everything is like very dramatic and very flowery. So I did really enjoy that because I'm also reading a lot of vampire books right now, and vampires tend to be very dramatic and over the top. So I did enjoy that. So I will probably come back to the historiography course before I come back to the Black Women's History course. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, after I take a couple of weeks off, I'll want to come back to it, but we'll see how it goes. But I just wanted to come on here and give you an update that I am going to stop these 2 courses. Made it to week 4 of Black Women's History, made it to week 5 of historiography. Both are 12-week courses. I will come back to them. I will continue to do vlogs where I tell you about the stuff that I'm learning, stuff that I'm reading. That's probably gonna end it for right here. I have my spring kind of TBR spring reading plans video to film. I have to give you some kind of wrap up of February and March, and yeah, we're just gonna kind of have fun with it over the spring and see how all of this goes. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I will catch you in the next one.